a metaphor, an allegory, an actual experience. You decide. This past summer, in the midst of the turmoil, I realized it was time to finally have that conversation I'd been putting off for so long. With all that was happening recently, my frustration was growing. And if I was ever going to get to a place of forgiveness, I needed to lay all my cards out on the table. I needed to take my friend to task for the chaos that my friend caused. So I made an appointment to sit down to share the struggle that was going on inside my soul. Now, we're taught that God created this world. So it seems to follow that God bears primary responsibility for allowing in illness and hatred, evil and greed. Of course, I wanted to give the Holy Blessed One the benefit of the doubt. So I set out to start slowly, intending to share my sadness. But instead, this just poured out of me. God damn you, God. What's with the raging wildfires and the destructive flooding, the mass shootings and the mindless meanness all around? Why the anti-Semitism against us Jews and the explosive hatred against Asian Americans and immigrants and trans people? Have you no shame allowing the self-proclaimed white supremacists a public stage or for giving climate change free rein? And what about all that loss of life in Afghanistan and the destruction in Haiti yet again? Our Israelite ancestors suffered for 400 generations in Egypt before you deigned to deliver us to freedom. How many more people have to die to motivate your mercy, to get you to finally act on our behalf? What the heck's going on with you, God? It's Yom Kippur. And we are here, God, to confess our sins to you. But this year, I think, Holy One, it's you who ought to be confessing. It's you who should seek forgiveness from us. I expected at a minimum an acknowledgement from God that God's been asleep at the wheel, or better yet, a heartfelt apology. So you would imagine how surprised I was when I got this. Me? God said. Me? You blame me for this blasphemy? You think I planned all this, that I wanted the whole world to explode in hatred, to heat up an already inflamed earth, to expose you to a deadly disease? You think I've been sitting around smirking as my children fall ill? That I plan to utter again those words I said to Moses back on Mount Sinai about how I would destroy my wayward children and begin again with him? I could have. And sometimes I wonder if I should have. Because you humans are so egocentric, unable to see what is and what can be, and to band together to beat it. You think that I, the one who accompanied you through the wilderness in a pillar of fire and a pillar of cloud, would just leave you alone to confront these challenges? As I've told you before, death, all this destruction, all of it is the unintended consequence of granting you humans your precious free will. I might be omniscient, all-knowing, and omnibenevolent, all good. But by agreement and intention, when I gave you the keys to the world, I can no longer be omniscient, all-powerful. I released that power to you humans so that you could get out of the garden and enjoy the fruits of your labors. Yes, this is an imperfect existence, but only because when at creation I poured my divine light into the world I created. The world's derivative nature could not contain the purity of my perfection. Shvira Kelim resulted, the shattering of creation's containers, and what I intended as your place on this planet transformed. Along with free will now came a tremendous responsibility. You must now engage in perpetual tikkun olam, elevating the sparks of brokenness yourselves. You want my confession? It's there in the prayer book. You pray it every Yom Kippur. Who will live and who will die? Who by fire and who by water? That's my confession to the imperfection of this world. That litany of ways to lose people is my way of alerting you that stuff happens. Bad stuff happens. But I have always given you the tools to repair the rips in the reality of life, which you collectively find reason to ignore. Since the very beginning, I've instilled in each of you the insight and understanding of how to confront that which threatens you. With COVID, I keep trying to convince you to cast off your conspiracy theories and the politicization of mask wearing, begging you to listen to my kol d'mama daka, my voice speaking as clearly as I can through the voices of veritable experts, scientists and medical professionals who have found ways of controlling this COVID killer. But you, collectively, just won't listen. As the prophet Isaiah kept saying, I don't want only your prayers. I want you to act collectively, so you'll all survive. You think you were at your edge, Rabbi, back in January of 2021 when 16 of your people passed away? Your loss is nothing compared to mine. 665,000 American deaths. 4.5 million of my children everywhere around the world are dead because you can't commit to wearing masks or working together to wipe out this disease. Each of those lives were my co-creation. Each life brought into being intentionally, B'Tselem Elohim, for premeditated purpose, to bring benevolence and beauty, equity and endurance to our shared existence. I, God, tear kriya at every funeral. Yeah, I attend them all. My gown of glory is now a shredded smock from all that tearing, testifying to the turmoil that I feel at our joint failure. Where was I, you demand to know? Where were you? I ask in return. When the coronavirus was condemning the first 100,000s around the world to a painful, lonely death, Ayeka, where were you? When the fires and floods and melting glaciers testified to the havoc your scientists long ago warned that you were wreaking in my world, Ayeka, where were you? When others passed laws limiting a woman's right to control their own body, which is embodied in my Torah and in our Jewish texts, when others continually failed to credibly address the constant barrage of bullets in your malls and concert halls, your schools and synagogue, Ayeka, where were you? Did you vociferously condemn those actions and the weak-kneed politicians who put power and profit before people's lives? Or did you hold up your vaunted freedoms, the ones I endowed you with, as an excuse to ignore the destruction of my people, of my world? Where were you when brown and black people, indigenous and impoverished people, essential people like you, who many of you think are not like you, were dying by the tens of thousands because your inequitable healthcare systems don't help them, even though you deem them essential to your economic survival? Ayeka, where were you? You say you don't have faith in me, God asks. Did you ever wonder why I still have faith in you? God damn me. God should damn you, I sometimes want to shout. But I don't, and I won't. Because I am your creator, your confidant, the source of your very lives. And against our agreement not to manifest my might so forthrightly anymore, I always act to try to help you. With the nishmat chayim, the breath of life, I breathed into you in the beginning. I also gave you the resources and research abilities, the values and vision, the intelligence and intentions to beat all of this. So please, please band together and try. Vigorously convince the anti-mask crowd to wear masks, and more compassionately, those who have a well-earned reason not to trust the government, that these vaccines are necessary and safe. Stand up against the white supremacists and demand that they back down. Allow nuance to separate out legitimate critique of Israel, remembering that much of the rest is cover for something else. And then vigorously go after the acerbic anti-Semitism. Speak out against all forms of hatred, not just the ones directed at you. And rise up and reign in your destruction of this world. And then, along the way, hold yourselves up to the high standards you keep trying to foist on me. And do it now, before it's too late. You know, it says right in there, back in the beginning, the earth was tohu vavohu, chaotic. But it doesn't need to be now. You should just remember what's written on your Ora Mi ark doors back at the synagogue. It says, Kedoshim Tihiyu, that each of you is holy, that each of you is interconnected to everyone else, meaning that borders and bravado won't protect you, only brain power and benevolence will. So let's stop damning each other and stop blaming me. My heart is as broken as yours. Instead, spend your time picking up the broken pieces of the tablets that Moses smashed and instill in each other a real responsibility for each other. What do I require of you? The prophet Micah asked and I answered way long ago. Asot mishpat, ve'havat chesed, ve'hatznea lalechet im Elohecha. To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with me, your God. It's Yom Kippur. Choose life. It's Yom Kippur. Be compassionate and just. Have faith. It's Yom Kippur. Open yourself up and feel my blessing. It's all around you. And breathe.